woke up, they said I was the real daughter of the Kin family who was taken away by mistake. But the family already had a so-called fake daughter who had been raised for more than 10 years. My family waited for me to feel inferior, jealous, and hate the injustice of fate, sinking into the abyss in endless sorrow. But I looked at this new era without war and hunger, and without fear of death. This is the best era for me. When I woke up, my head hurt like it was exploding. I reached out to cover my head, and something strange kept pouring into my mind. For a moment, I didn't know who I was, and it was blank. Until the movement in my mind stopped, I finally had the energy to look around. A strange but equally familiar world. A sense of separation swept over me. I heard someone talking outside in a trance. She's not pretending, is she? A young man's voice sounded. She got hurt on purpose to make everyone feel sorry for her. And then let everyone blame Siyu? Brother Ken, Siyu is the one you watched grow up. Yu Hui. Another clear male voice interrupted him. This is the Kin family's family affair. You've overstepped the line. Siyu and Dad are engaged, so of course I'm on her side. Young man's voice continued. Brother Kin, I don't care where your other sister came from. We only recognize Siyu in the Yi family. I couldn't hear the next words clearly. I opened my eyes and looked at the white ceiling, and began to think about who I am. Kin Yujuan. This is my name. I remember the touch of the bullet passing through my heart, the suffocation and unwillingness when I was on the verge of death. But I am definitely not the Kin Yujuan who survived under the muzzle of a gun. This body is also strange when it moves. I'm not that young. Although I have calluses on my hands, they're not the calluses caused by obvious housework. I don't know how long it took. Someone pushed the door open and found that I was awake. I saw the face of the person who was talking at the door just now, and a good-looking young man and a boy appeared in my sight. Maya Tom, are you awake? A clear voice sounded in front of me. I looked over and didn't speak at the first time. Maybe it was because I saw someone, and there was an extra memory in my mind. Maybe I should call him brother. But I didn't speak for a long time and the boy next to him lost his patience. Hey, how long are you going to pretend? I still didn't speak, staring at them for a long time, until the young man realized something was wrong and called a doctor. The hospital now seems to have developed very well. The doctor in a white coat examined me and told the other party that I was likely to have symptoms of short-term amnesia. The impatient boy had left, and I didn't want to see him either. Seeing him made me feel noisy. The young man sat down next to the bed and said, Maya Tong, I'm your brother Kunjahanha. Do you remember me? The doctor said, You'll remember slowly. He told me some recent events. The original owner of my body was the daughter of a wealthy family who was taken away by mistake for more than 10 years. His biological sister. In these 10 years, they didn't know that the daughter they raised at home was fake. It was a very vulgar plot. It was probably replaced by someone with ulterior motives. The biological daughter was sold to a remote mountain village and lived a hard life there for more than 10 years. It was last year that Kin Yujuan heard from her adoptive parents that she was bought from human traffickers. She went to great lengths to call the police and wait for the result, and finally waited for her biological parents. It's a pity that they have spent more than 10 years raising a very outstanding daughter. Kin Yujuan went to the hospital this time because she had a conflict with King Xiaohan and fell down the stairs and had a concussion. She is very sensitive. After more than 10 years of hardship, a teenage girl with wounds all over her hands and body suddenly realized that she should have lived such a rich life. She is full of hostility towards the person who occupies her status, especially because she is not as beautiful, talented and good at dancing as the other party. The other party also has a fiancé who is handsome and excellent, and they look very compatible. Under the jealousy caused by inferiority and unwillingness, she is full of hostility towards Kin Jiahan. But the memory in my mind tells me that Kin Yujuan fell down the stairs this time. And it was indeed Kin Jiahan who pushed her. Such a situation is related to the fate of the two girls. Kin Yujuan is unwilling and jealous, and Kin Jiahan will also be afraid of her own status. I looked at him and shouted, Brother, where are Dad and Mom? Kin Jiahan, I was silent for a moment. I know that Kin Yujuan's memory tells me that today is the day of Kin Jiahan's piano competition. They went to watch the competition, including He Hui, who was very noisy just now. They'll come to see you tonight. Kin Jiahan's answer is like this. I stopped talking. Kanji-han, I said, Ma Tong, you and Si were both my sisters. Although your experience is due to her biological mother, Si really knows nothing. Her biological mother passed away a few years ago. My parents have drafted a contract to give you 5 of the company's shares as compensation. My heart was actually calm, but I still couldn't help feeling sad for the girl named Kim Yujuan. The family she desperately tried to find actually had very limited love for her. I don't know where she went, or if she is still alive, but I think it's a bit strange that I have her memories. Do you have that 5 share? I looked up at Kanji Hanha eye. He paused. I then asked, Ken Xiaohan has it 2, maybe less, 3. Do you remember? I hummed and asked, where's my phone? Kanji Hanha handed me a cue. I saw its use in Ken Yu Wan's memory. I said, I want to be alone for a while. Then Kenji Hanha left the ward. I reached for my phone, unlocked it according to my memory, and then began to search for everything I wanted to know. It turned out that so many years had passed, and the era in which I existed had completely passed and become history. My country finally grew up in the midst of hardships. Although every step in the past was not easy, we now stand tall in the world, and no one dares to despise us. In this country and this era, there is no invasion, no war, and no food and clothing problems. And I, Qin Yujuan, am just a drop in the ocean of history, without a single word. For a long time in the past, I even haven't used my real name for a long time. One afternoon, I held my phone and looked at the screen with tears streaming down my face. The scene that had only appeared in my dreams had actually come true. This is the best time for me. Although I have the memory of another Qin Yujuan, in my mind I still feel unfamiliar with this world. I am very curious. Lying on the hospital bed until my current parents appeared, I knew where the soreness in my chest came from the emotions of this body. I think I understand her emotions. She just wants a preference and doesn't need to steal the preference of others. I looked at the Kim family's parents who were dressed elegantly, and behind them followed Kim Cho-han, who was wearing a gorgeous long dress. She was very beautiful, or rather, she was raised to be very beautiful. She was also dressed up today. I raised my eyes and looked at them, calmly. The mother of this body spoke. What do you think? Very good. I told the truth. After all, I'm not the Qin Yujuan in their cognition. After realizing my identity, I naturally know that even if I have changed my temperament now, they will only think that I have psychological or mental problems, so I don't need to be like the previous Qin Yujuan. They seemed surprised by my tone, or they thought I was bowing to them. My father now looked at the bandage on my head and said, in a pretentious manner, forget it this time. If you make trouble again next time, don't blame me and your mother for not caring about you. I thought back to my father. He was an elegant scholar. Although he was a little bit of a patriarch, he always insisted on convincing people with reason. If I hadn't compared them, I wouldn't have known that Mr. Ken was so much better than others in being a father. I was too lazy to say anything more. But the gorgeous and beautiful cuckoo in the nest had a moment of panic in her eyes, and she looked back at me when she was about to leave, and there might be some provocation in her eyes that she didn't even notice. She looked down on me, but at the same time, she was afraid of me. After waking up, I spent a relatively fulfilling few days. I spent almost every day with my mobile phone in my hand. In this era, something called internet appeared. I think it is one of the greatest inventions in the process of human development. Almost all the information I want to know can be obtained from it. Wars have not disappeared from this world, but my country has been at peace for a long time. After that, the bandages and gauze on my head were removed and I was discharged from the hospital. I was taken back to a house that could be called exquisite. Tenji Hanha, I took me back. He said, Dad is on a business trip today, and Mom has an appointment with friends. You should rest well today. You should go to school tomorrow. Even if your foundation is poor, you must try your best to catch up. Even if you are discharged from the hospital, the situation that there is no family to welcome you does not seem like a family in my opinion. Kanji Hanha's words seem to indicate a meaning. Their Ken family only meets people who can be on the stage. This model is very similar to the impression of a good friend's family. Her family is prominent, but the girls are all educated to be ladies, and the boys are all elegant gentlemen on the surface. But it is not uncommon for such a family to be rotten inside. Less than a year after Qin Yujuan came back, the Qin family set up a new school for her, and she was in the first year of high school. The current enrollment system is also very different from what I know, and there are many subjects. My memory tells me that after a semester of high school, Qin Yujuan chose subjects that were more inclined to the humanities. I returned to my room and carefully read her various books. The next day, the driver took me to school. Qin Xiaohan and I were in the same school, but she was in the top class and always ranked among the top, which was in sharp contrast to Qin Yujuan. Even though we were in the same school, we didn't take the same car to school. I came to my class based on my memory, and as soon as I entered the door, I found that the originally noisy classroom was quiet for a moment. Qin Yujuan's presence in the class was actually not that strong. It's just that her current identity is very embarrassing. She claims to be a child adopted by the Qin family. Because of the engagement between Qin Xiaohan and He Wei, He Wei only recognizes Qin Xiaohan, but the He family may not. If Qin Xiaohan's identity is leaked, the He family may not still look down on her, but they certainly won't look down on Qin Yujuan. So the Qin family chose to keep the engagement in this matter, which is the benefit. But the biological daughter became an adopted one, which is essentially a lack of attention to Qin Yujuan. Qin Yujuan longed for family affection and favoritism, but this family did not have it. I realized that I was relatively out of place in this class. This is a private high school, and many of the students here have good family conditions. The Qin family is considered a pretty good wealthy family. As an adopted daughter, there are naturally gossips about me. I missed a few days of classes due to hospitalization this time, and I don't know what version they said. I lowered my eyes and fell on the table. Qin Yujuan's handwriting is not very good, and I have to imitate her handwriting for a while. Qin Yujuan, someone called me, and then a shadow fell in front of my eyes. I heard that you were hospitalized. I raised my eyes and looked at the other person, a boy with red hair. I confirmed that my eyes changed from surprise to indescribable. I can't appreciate it at all. I know the identity of the other person, a rich second generation who admires Qin Jiaohan, named Lin Yuan. Something? I knew that the original owner of this body was not familiar with him. I heard that you wanted to push Qin Xiaohan down, but you accidentally fell down the stairs. Or did you fall on purpose? He was blunt and probably didn't consider whether the real Qin Yujuan would be able to withstand such questioning if she was sitting in the classroom at this moment. I met his gaze and smiled suddenly. Yes, I had a quarrel with her, and I couldn't win the quarrel, so I decided to fall head first from the stairs to frame her. So what? Lin Yuan didn't expect my answer, and neither did the others. He was stunned for a moment. I said, is there anything else? He squeezed out a sentence after a long time. How dare you, an adopted daughter? Adopted daughter. I leaned back, looked up and down at the red-haired man in front of me, and sneered. What identity are you using to seek justice for Qin Xiaohan? Teenagers of this age are the most vulnerable to provocation, and they fight for their loved ones, but they are also the easiest to be hurt. Look, I'm angry. Do you want to die? As soon as he finished speaking, someone walked in from outside. It was the head teacher. After she swept her eyes around the classroom, Lin Yuan returned to her seat with an indignant look on her face. I began to study in the classroom of this era. I flipped through the history book again and again, and I found the history that I was familiar with, and also saw the past that was long ago and many things that happened later. Compared with the textbooks of liberal arts, the books of science looked much newer. I know that the development of this society is no longer what my once barren imagination can describe. Qin Yujuan's memory can tell me a lot of information, but those that she doesn't know, I naturally need to explore on my own. For a whole week I was swimming in knowledge. I realized the indifference of the people around me to me. From the memory of Qin Yujuan, I probably found a word to describe my current situation: school bullying. The isolation of the entire class, the teacher's blind eye. Probably like this. For a week, I was digesting the emotions brought by this body. Sometimes I couldn't even tell whether I was sad or she was sad. I was curious whether the other Qin Yuan was still alive, but I couldn't figure it out. I always had a very cold relationship with the Qin family. Through studying law, I knew that I was not on the Qin family's household registration book now, but was just an adopted daughter who was raised by blood relationship. My personality changes were seen by them. My current father symbolically praised me and said that I looked better. In his opinion, perhaps my non-competitiveness was a great improvement. Qin Jiahan said at the right time, "Dad, I heard that my Atong and Lin Yuan were not doing a good job. Do you want me to tell them?" Qin Jiahan had a good relationship with the group of rich second generations. After all, they were in the same circle. But after she said this, Kenan's eyebrows frowned again. "Kenan, my current father." I opened my mouth. "Dad, I want to live in the school." Qin Xiaohan's previous words were exposed, and Kenan's tone was a little stern. "Why do you want to live in the school for no reason? Isn't it good to live at home?" He looked very good. A feudal patriarch. This is how people of this kind should be described in modern times. They can't see any problems at all. I lowered my eyes and said, "My foundation is too poor. I want to spend more time on studying and strive to improve my grades as soon as possible." Xiaonan agree with me living in the school, but I know he will agree in the end. Qin Chaohan should be eager for me to stay away from the Qin family. During this period, I was very keen to go out and get to know this new world. I lived under the same roof with the Qin family. I think they could see the changes in Qin Yuan, but they all attributed this difference to my bowing to them. I also mentioned the matter of living in the school to Qin Jihan. He didn't understand. If you want to improve your grades, your family can hire a tutor for you. There's no need to live on campus. In the eyes of the rich young master, my actions were just asking for trouble. Or maybe it was a bit willful. I want to live on campus, and I'll talk to my parents about it if my grades don't improve. Can you help me talk to my parents? As far as I can remember, this was probably the first time this sister, who came home, asked Kinji Hanha for a place to live. Request Kinji Hanha. I was silent for a long time and replied, "I can't guarantee success." I successfully moved into the school. Although Kainan is authoritarian, he values his eldest son very much. It is not an exaggeration to say that Kinji Hanha, who has graduated from college and entered the company, is his pride. I don't know what Kinji Hanha said. He sent someone to handle the procedures for me to live in the school, and I moved into a single dormitory. I am very satisfied. The isolation of the people around me seems to me to be a very trivial matter. After all, my mind is not really a 16 or 17-year-old girl. Several rich kids headed by Lin Yuan often have some small actions, such as knocking my books to the ground, and then a painless apology or putting some small insects on my desk. Although it is not a big deal, going to complain may not necessarily get me a satisfactory result. So one day at noon, when Lin Yuan was sleeping on the table, he felt something was wrong. When he opened his eyes, he found a small black snake sticking its head out from the table and spitting its tongue at him. The whole classroom was noisy. Lin Yuan screamed first, and then the whole classroom screamed. I sat in my seat, looking at the frightened classmates around me with satisfaction, with a smile in my eyes. For a moment, I met Lin Yuan's eyes. The little black snake ran away in the panic screams. Afterwards, Lin Yuan swore in front of the class teacher that I was the one who released the snake because I was too calm at the time. After hearing what he said, the head teacher looked at me. "Qin Yuan, do you have anything to say?" I shook my head. "Teacher, it's not me. If it's not you, then who is it?" Lin Yuan said firmly, "You are the only one in the class who sits in your seat properly." I explained in a light tone, "I just happen to be not afraid of snakes." "How is it possible?" Lin Yuan's tone was very excited, and he swore, "You must be deliberately taking revenge on me." I laughed. "Why should I take revenge on you? Have you done anything to me?" Lin Yuan stuck his neck out for a long time and couldn't say anything. I looked at the head teacher and said, "Teacher, this is not A trivial matter after all. Why don't you check the classroom surveillance? Surveillance. A new till I learn it in my understanding of the new era. Very good stuff. It's just that the surveillance was checked 1 day ago, and I couldn't find out who put the snake in. Instead, I saw in the surveillance of the previous day that when I was not in the classroom, several people lead by Lin Yu and put a few caterpillars on my desk with a smile. I watched the video without changing my expression. The teachers and leaders around me looked strange. Lin Yu felt uncomfortable. There is no shameless boy of this age. It depends on the degree. After being frightened by the snake, his psychological defense is weak now. Until this morning's surveillance video, it was about the time when no one showed up in front of the classroom in the morning. A black snake crawled in through the crack of the door by itself, passed through several tables, and crawled into Lin Haoshen's desk accurately. Lin Yuan's hair stood up when watching the surveillance. He and the snake were in such close contact for several hours. His face turned pale with fear. That day, the young master asked for leave to go home. I heard that he was so scared that he had a fever. There were few people in the classroom that night, probably because they were afraid that another snake would crawl out from somewhere. After that, the parents of their students and the school had a dispute. The school organized an anti-snake and anti-insect action. These have nothing to do with me. I returned to the dormitory at night, with the desk lamp on, and I was studying the lessons I missed. After a while, a cold rustling sound was heard, and a pure black little snake slowly crawled along the desk clamp to my wrist, spitting out its tongue. But it was gentle and cute, chuckled and tapped its little head. After that day, I felt much more at ease, although Lin Yuan and the others still came to class on time. But when watching the surveillance, his parents were also present. Min Yuan's behavior of openly instigating others to bully a female classmate made the two parents frown. In his family, both parents are strong in their careers, and his mother is even stronger than his father. He got a lesson, but I didn't get an apology, and neither did Qin Yuxuan. After the monthly exam, my grades did improve compared to before. But it was not enough. During the time at school, I didn't see Qin Xiaohan many times, but she was a celebrity in the school and I kept hearing about her, what competitions I participated in, what awards I won, or what happened between me and Ti Hui, or the rumors between me and her. I didn't want to back to the Qin family on weekends. It's not difficult to find excuses not to go back. I spent money to buy tickets and visited all kinds of exhibitions in the city. I saw a lot of historical relics, and even found familiar names in some records, but there were also many people like me who passed through history without leaving a single word, like a stream merging into the sea. Even now, I still have complicated feelings. I am lucky to the prosperous China. Even if I walk in places I have been to before, I often feel a sense of absurdity. In less than 100 years, the changes that have taken place in this land are beyond my imagination back then. The end of the semester came quickly, and I submitted an application for a change of subject to my class teacher. The current college entrance examination system seems to have undergone a change. I thought about it for a long time and still chose physics, chemistry, and biology. The head teacher looked at my report card and said, "My Tong, your grades will be more advantageous in the liberal arts." Yes, for most of this semester I became the first in the worst class. My grades in history and politics made me even rank high in the grade, and the same was true for English. The class will be adjusted again based on the grades in the second year of high school, and I will most likely go to another class. Although my grades in science have improved significantly, my head teacher is still not optimistic. She persuaded me earnestly, saying that girls who are good at liberal arts may have a big gap when studying science. I did not change my mind. The Qin family was still informed of this matter, and did not agree with my decision to change subjects. In his opinion, Qin Xiaohan and I studied liberal arts and went to a good university, which would be very face-saving when we talked about marriage in the future. Qin Xiaohan and I were both excluded from the company's inheritance rights. Unfortunately, I did not listen to him. Qin An was furious. He said, "You are obviously better at liberal arts than science. Why do you have to learn something you are not good at? According to your current grades, you can go to a good school on the college entrance examination. What if you switch to science and do poorly? I was very calm. I can learn well. I knew he was so angry. It was not because of my good science, but because he hated people who resisted him in this family. Seemed to be angry and laugh. But at this time, my mother whispered, Hui Shu has been good at science since he was a child. Maybe Niao Tong is also. After saying this, I saw Qin Zhaohan's face turn pale. The Qin family's partiality is manifested in all aspects. They, including Qin Zhaohan, usually stand on Qin Zhaohan's side. This is what she relies on most, but blood relationship cannot be changed. I don't care about the Qin family, so I won't take a second look at their usual intimacy. For example, I don't care about the expensive clothes and jewelry in Qin Zhaohan and Qin Zhaohan's room. Even Qin Yujuan before didn't care. She's a girl who wants love, but I'm past the time to pursue love. I insist on studying science. There are also benefits to not being valued in this family. With my insistence, the school arranged a new class for me. Everyone is busy during the summer vacation. Qin's parents are busy with business and socializing. Kenji Hanha is busy with various matters of taking over the company, and Ken Zhaohan is taking various musical instrument courses and getting along with Yu Hui. I don't understand why young people in their teens and 16s are bound by a marriage contract in this era. Maybe they don't think this is a bondage. I bury my head in my room studying all day. Information in this era is obtained quickly and easily. As long as I am willing, I can collect all kinds of tutoring courses on the internet. Those I once wanted to contact but had to let go because of various limitations. I studied desperately. When I was dizzy from studying, I walked out of the room and walked downstairs. It happened that she was still dressed up today. The whole dress made me look like I had no desire to communicate with her and was about to walk sideways. Qin Yujuan? I heard her call me. Do you feel that similar words seem to have been heard by Qin Yujuan before? I looked at her in confusion, wanting to hear what else she was going to say. The abandoned knowledge came to me like a tide. I ran into Qin Yujuan, who had returned. It was very expensive, with delicate and beautiful makeup. When she met my eyes, she said, "You're a biological child, so it's amazing." She paused for a moment and then disdain appeared in her eyes. Our circle is not something that a rustic person like you can integrate into, she said slowly. You have been back for so long. Have you ever had any friends in this circle? They all look down on you. She tried to break my defense with such sarcastic words. I lowered my eyes to look at her. So what? Xin Xiaohan didn't see the panic and unwillingness on my face. She probably felt like she had punched into cotton. You know, families like ours will only look for people of equal status to marry in the future. You are not presentable, and I am afraid that your father will arrange for you to marry a mediocre man in the future. She thought she was threatening me with the most terrifying unsatisfied thing. I felt sad. You are only a teenager and you have already entrusted your future to your family and men. Don't you feel sad? I asked her. After hearing what I said, she suddenly laughed, as if she was laughing at my naivety. Qin Zhaohan said, "Do you know that my starting point is the end point that many people can never reach in their lives, no matter how hard they try? Did you dare to ask for a life like this before? I understand that she is sober, or she is relatively sober in the turbidity, and she knows what she wants. I can't tell her that when I was young, I lived a much more luxurious life than today. Although there was no convenient life with the addition of technology at that time, I was served and grew up and never worried about my future. Until I saw the backbone of the nation being pressed by the mountains in the flames of war. At this moment, I clearly realized that Qin Xiaohan and I could not have the same thoughts. So I said, then I wish you can always hold the kite string in your hand. I spent the whole summer studying, learning textbook knowledge, learning about the world and learning about the era I am in now. Although there are memories left by another Qin Yujuan, it is undeniable that her understanding of the world is also backward to some extent. Our misfortune and regret can no longer be compensated. The only thing I can do is to become better with her. My presence in the Qin family is not strong. Qin Zhaohan may be satisfied with my tact, but my parents now think I am not presentable. As for Kenji Hanha, my cheap brother, he can still spare a little patience to ask about my daily life. I was relieved when school started. I moved to school without stopping and immersed myself in studying in the new class. In this class, I felt a little different. No isolation, no laughter, and no ridicule. My classmates looked at me with curiosity at first, but then they became normal again. Kinyujwa, are you a monster? How can someone score several tens of points higher in the midterm exam than in the monthly exam? My desk mate screamed. Yes, I even have a desk mate. My desk mate is a very lively girl. She was surprised by my persistence in learning and my rapid progress in science. Not only her, but also the teachers. I vaguely remember that the new head teacher once said some persuasive words to my report card. In the stereotype, girls may have some difficulties in learning science, especially when grades are used. My liberal arts grades before the end of high school are indeed far better than science grades. In other words, they think I have narrowed my path. I have to admit that among many subjects, I still love history and am keen to experience the changes of the times in today's life. But I still remember the regrets of my previous life and like-minded friends. If China had a good teacher, why would we have to travel across the ocean? If I had the skills, why would my compatriots have to suffer? How dare the great power set foot on this land? Be prepared for danger in times of peace. This is a lesson we should learn. I am not interested in this. The second year of high school passed in a hurry. This year was wonderful. My grades climbed into the top 10 in my grade. This was a scene that surprised everyone. The teacher who had persuaded me that liberal arts was more advantageous than science silently shut up. The teachers in the liberal arts class were jealous of my liberal arts grades. They came to inquire and then they were all blocked by my current science teacher. Now even if I want to transfer back, it is not certain that the teachers will let me go. Although it is a private high school, not all the students in the school are from wealthy families. Many of my classmates are from well-off families. In comparison, the Kin family I belong to is indeed a wealthy family. Hinan was very satisfied with my grades, but I refused when he asked me to go back to attend a certain dinner. I knew what kind of dinner it was. He began to weigh my value. He chose one who could help the Kin family's business from those who were well matched. Kenji Hanha. I is still single now, precisely because Ken and also weighed other girls. My rebelliousness made him unhappy and he stopped paying me. I think the most absurd fact is that a father who has only raised his daughter for less than 2 years has put on the airs of an autocratic monarch. He probably waited for me to bow to him in order to return to a life of luxury, and at the same time ordered the Kim family not to give me financial support. He probably forgot that this daughter who had returned home for less than 2 years had not actually enjoyed the so-called luxury life. I may be intoxicated by the current era, but I have never been obsessed with money and fame. For me who is about to become an adult, there are too many ways to make money in this era. The most direct and most suitable for one of my students is probably to be a tutor. Just so happens that this school has no shortage of rich people. If the Kim family can't help me, I can find someone else. Connections are indeed very important. My class monitor said that she found a student who is not short of money for me. As long as I tutor him, the salary is very considerable. His parents are very generous. The class monitor is very nice. Her family is in the real estate business. Her family background should not be bad. I don't know what class her family belongs to, but I really don't see anyone around who would want to offend her. I gladly accepted her kindness. When I arrived at the tutor's house at the agreed time, I saw a large villa estate, much larger than the Kin family's. Very exaggerated style. I have become accustomed to the surrounding environment. I walked in without changing my face, and then I saw Lin Yuan, who was the boss on the sofa. His reaction was bigger than mine and he jumped up as if he had stepped on a snake. Qin Yuan, why are you coming to my house? It's this young master. I laughed. Student Lin, long time no see. Let's get acquainted again. I'm King Yuan, and I'm also the tutor hired by your parents. After that, how Lin Yuan and his guardian quarreled about changing tutors was not within my consideration. Anyway, in the end, Lin Yuan sat down next to me with a reluctant look on his face. Obviously, his resistance failed. The young master stared at me fiercely. Don't think that my mother likes you. You can do whatever you want. Believe it or not, I will kick you out soon. I chuckled, try. He was so angry. Lin Yuan's words were really unpleasant. He would say at any time, didn't the Qin family adopt you? Why do they want you to work outside? I didn't care about his words. Her reaction, still focus on his life. Achievements. Lin Yuan's math is so bad that I have nothing to say. The only good ones are Chinese and English. Take money from others and do things for others. I know this. I need to help Lin Yuan. His mother gave too much. I paid the tuition for the 3rd year of high school myself. I did not go back to the Qin family during the summer vacation of the 2nd year of high school. Qin was also authoritarian enough. He did not let anyone help me. I tried many part-time jobs in the summer vacation. Some of them were very rewarding. I made a lot of money and later applied for scholarships at school. The tuition of this private high school is expensive, and the amount of the scholarship is high enough. I have no problems in life. After the first monthly exam of the 3rd year of high school, Lin Yuan's parents were very satisfied with my tutoring results. I received a considerable reward and continued to tutor Lin Yuan. He is not my only client, but he is my living signifier. Lin Yuan's improvement in grades made the parents of several friends who were familiar with him contact me, but there were many time conflicts. In the past, it was one-on-one, but later they just went together. Only Lin Yuan was still one-on-one, and I had to give his mother face. The rich 2nd generation is really hard to manage. They don't care about grades at all. The only thing that makes them care is the inner comparison. When one person improves, slowly others will be pushed forward. It's just that I couldn't stick to this career of tutoring for a long time. The school arranged for me to participate in competitions. Other things can only be put aside for the time being. Learning is the first priority for students. I saw that my ranking on the school honor roll was getting higher and higher. The label on me was no longer Qin's adopted daughter, but Qin Yuan. As time passed, my name reached the top. Not only in the whole school, but also in the whole city. My grades were also among the best. When the college entrance examination was approaching, some of the classmates around me were much more relaxed, and their families had paved a smooth road for them. I heard that Qin Xiaohan would go abroad with Yihui to study. When I heard the news, I was responsible for my former employer, but I met Lin Yuan. I comforted him and told him to prepare for the college entrance examination. As a result, Lin Yuan stared at me for a long time and said you for a long time, but couldn't say anything meaningful. He even looked a little angry. I don't know if it was because of my words that touched his heart. After the college entrance examination, I rented a small house outside. One day, I suddenly received a call from Kanji Hanhai, who asked me, "When do you plan to go home?" I paused. What's the matter? Kanji Hanhai asked me, "How long are you going to be angry with your parents? Your college entrance examination results are coming out soon, and your family will hold a graduation banquet for you and see you. Do you have to rely on your own work-study program to live for several years in college?" He weighed the pros and cons for me. As long as I bowed my head and admitted my mistakes, this matter would be over, or it would have been over long ago. My grades gave the answer. On the day when the college entrance examination results came out, I refreshed several times and couldn't see my grades. As expected, my phone became busy afterwards. Not only the admissions teachers and the head teacher of the senior class, but also the Qin family. This time even Kainan contacted me personally. I guess some of the admissions calls went to the Qin family. The family contact information I left when I enrolled probably includes theirs. I don't know what my ranking is, but it's obviously not bad. Unfortunately, I'm the only one on my household registration now. Qin meant for me to choose a school from the first tier and listen to his advice on majors. He said that law and finance are the best choices for me, and foreign languages are also very good. Before I made a choice, the results were announced. Provincial champion, I was not surprised. I worked hard for this result for a long time, and the result I got now is the result of my hard work. After rejecting many admissions teachers, I finally chose the school I wanted. But when the news came back to the Kin family, Ken Anne was furious. As a girl, why do you have to go to the National University of Defense Technology when you can go to any other university? The Kin family is in business, and this circle has basically nothing to do with my choice. Not only Kin doesn't understand, but my current mother, Ms. Lin Yan, she doesn't understand either. Her well-maintained face showed disapproval and unfamiliar worries. She said, "My Tong, it's too tiring for a girl to study this. You don't have to choose this path." Qin Jianhai frowned. "What are you thinking about?" Even Qin Xiaohan had doubts on her face. "Can only say, I know what I'm doing. The path I'm taking has not changed." I still remember that after I was admitted, the school was still shocked for a long time. In fact, the school's grades that year were very good. Several of my tutoring clients have made progress, especially Lin Yuan. He was admitted to a very good university. His mother said that she wanted to arrange for him to go into politics. It's hard to imagine that a person who is bold and reckless before has become stable. I attended Lin Yuan's graduation banquet. What surprised me was that he did not invite Qin Xiaohan, or rather, Qin Xiaohan did not come. He put on a suit and looked quite presentable, but his expression looked a little awkward. I raised my glass to congratulate him on his graduation. "Congratulations." Lin Yuan looked at me without moving, so I looked down at my outfit. Although it was not a big brand, it was my favorite smoky blue Changzan. I thought I was dressed very appropriately. "What's wrong?" Lin Yuan's words were no longer explosive. He hesitated for a long time, and finally I heard the three words, "I'm sorry," from his mouth. I was wrong before. "Thank you for your help over the past year." The eldest young master was probably not good at apologizing. His face was red when he spoke, and he looked a little nervous. I laughed. "I accept the apology, but there is no need to thank you. If you want to thank someone, thank your mother for trusting me and offering such a high hourly wage. After all, I was paid to do things." Lin Yuan seemed to want to say something, but someone came to greet him. He was his elder. I smiled and didn't disturb them. The Qin family finally realized that I probably didn't care about their big family and business. I didn't listen to any of their advice on the choice of future. Qin once again threatened that he would wait for me to regret and come back to beg him. I went to school after the summer vacation, the University of Azara. In more than 2 years, I have completely adapted to modern life and learned a lot. In the past, I certainly couldn't imagine what the world looks like now. After the start of college, I had less contact with the Ken family, and I rarely went back during the holidays. It was not Ken Yuan's home before, and it is definitely not my home now. How can a place without a sense of belonging be called home? My college life was very busy, fulfilling, and happy. I met many new friends and learned a lot of new things. Then I continued to study for a master's degree after finishing my undergraduate studies. During this period, I heard that Qin Jiaohan and Hui got married, but I didn't attend their wedding. At that time, I was participating in a closed project with my supervisor, and my phone was not with me. When I looked at my phone later, her wedding had been over for several days. Qin An was still angry, but he couldn't control me. When I was about to graduate from graduate school, I received a call from Qin Jianhai, who said, "I'm getting married next month. Will you come to attend?" He was almost 30 years old, and it was normal to get married. I heard that the bride was a rich lady who was well-matched and had been dating Qin Jianhai for 3 years. Qin Jianhai probably learned his lesson and notified me more than a month in advance. Of course I couldn't promise, I said. "If there is no conflict in time, I will attend." I recalled the scene when I woke up from this era, and I still remember that I am not qualified to forgive Qin Yuan in the past. And from my perspective, I don't agree with such a family concept. Soon, I will go to study for a doctorate. Knowing that I would go home to attend the wedding, my supervisor frowned and went to apply. When I went back, I was accompanied by 2 guards. Although I saw many familiar faces at Qin Jianhai's wedding, some people didn't even recognize me when I appeared. But when their eyes fell on me and Kinja on her eyes' faces, they would see that my face had not changed much, but my body was still wearing casual clothes. But their temperament could not hide that some of them were still playing games, and some of them had already lowered their heads in surprise and whispered, "After all, Kanjahanha I and I are siblings, and we can find similarities in appearance. It is also normal to get married and have children. In particular, Kanjahanha I is tall, and my height has reached 5 meters. In comparison, Kim Jiaohan's figure looks much smaller, and rumors can always go in an outrageous direction, such as already, but considering that she has been the most popular person in the past few years, no matter how others speculate, I am actually not very much about the Kim family. When I met Ken Jihanha and his new wife, I still sent. The facial features are even more different from those of the Kim family. Some people are talking about me and Qin Shaohan, who is the biological parent. They are inclined to think that I am Kainan's illegitimate daughter. After all, the Qin family doesn't need to care. Wedding gifts and blessings. The topic of daughters. To adopt another daughter when both sons and daughters are present. Qin Jian's expression looked very complicated when he saw me. He looked at me without saying anything. It was true. He probably realized that the path I took would not give him too much sense of responsibility and belonging to the Qin family. Kanji Hanha, I asked, do you want to say hello to your parents? Wait a minute, I said. I didn't expect to run into Lin Yuan here. He is indeed different from what I had always known. He glanced at the 2 guards following behind me and said softly, he used to be much more mature and stable. After graduation, he embarked on the path of politics. It seems that if my brother doesn't invite you in advance, you can't go back. With the support of the family, he has not made any mistakes. The future is coming. Very King Yuan, he called me, with a look of embarrassment on his face. Long time no see. How are you doing recently? The memory of Lin Yuan rolled in my mind, and it was indeed a bit difficult for me to connect the elegant man in front of me with the person who threatened me in the classroom, whether he wanted to die. I nodded. Very good. How about you? He laughed. I'm fine. After a while, he asked me, how long will you stay after you come back this time? I replied, I'll leave tomorrow. There are still a lot of data awaiting to be verified in the laboratory. Lin Yuan seemed to have a look of loss on his face, and I heard him chuckle for a while. You are really a busy man now, and I can't get in touch with you when I want to contact you. I don't deny that sometimes I am a little slow in replying to other people's messages. As I was talking, Lin Yuan's mother came over. She was also very kind to me, so I greeted her. And, long time no see. Lin Yuan's mother still looks like a dignified and delicate woman. She curved her eyes at me. It's my Atom. You are so beautiful now. Do you have a boyfriend? Does our house shine have a chance? As soon as she said this, Lin Yuan was stunned. Mom, what are you talking about? I looked at her and paused and chuckled, and I saw many girls peeking at Lin Yuan. This is so cool. How commenced this episode was just a very ordinary greeting at Kanji Hanai's wedding. After attending the wedding, I went to meet Ken's parents. Unexpectedly, there was a young man standing next to them. Looking at Kanan's introduction, I could probably guess something. I said, I'm leaving tomorrow. Kanan frowned. Why are you in such a hurry? You're going to school. Why do you seem to be bought out by the school? Miss Lin Yun said beside him, this is the 3rd son of the Li family. Your brother's friend. Young people, would you like to meet him? I laughed, and suddenly remembered a senior complaining that he was forced to go on a blind date when he went home for the holidays. No need to meet him, and no need to introduce me to a marriage partner. I said calmly, if you want to marry me now, direct relatives within 3 generations must undergo political review. Can you accept that? I ignored how angry the couple was. When I was about to leave, I saw Qin Xiaohan and He Hui in the corridor. The married life of this childhood sweetheart was not as sweet as I imagined. They had an argument. He Hui wanted to leave and Qin Xiaohan wanted to hold him back. I heard He Hui's voice saying, Do you know how strange the eyes of the people at that table looked at me when they talked about Kanji Hanha, I and Qin Yujuan being more like siblings? Qin Zhaohan's voice was tired. Didn't you know it a long time ago? Are you embarrassed now because you see Qin Yujuan as beautiful, or because of her current identity? The voice stopped abruptly. I walked out without changing my expression, followed by my guards. I didn't look at their expressions. There was no need to look. I could still hear their arguments faintly when I walked away. After attending Tanja Hanha'ai's wedding, I returned to school and was still immersed in my research. I didn't care much about what was happening outside. During my doctoral studies, the only people I communicated with were my supervisor and seniors. Everyone's hair was getting thinner equally. The next time I saw news about the Qin family was on the internet. Something happened to a piece of land that the Qin family had bought. Not only did they invest a large amount of money, but there were even workers injured. I don't know what happened in the middle. Some people said that the place was not clean and there were dirty things. Now there are even special departments taking over. Someone photographed a man in a Taoist robe holding a compass and entering an abandoned house. I didn't care about the Qin family until I saw a familiar gourd pendant in the various photos circulating on the internet. I looked at it for a long time, but no one noticed it until someone came to me. Mentor, I shouldn't ask, why are you talking so much? I contacted Kanji Hanai and said I wanted to go into the land to take a look. He was obviously annoyed by this matter recently, and he was still surprised when he heard that I wanted to go. What are you doing there? Don't make trouble. The land has been cordoned off, and there are people guarding the entrance and exit. I can't go in without someone to lead me. When I arrived, I still saw Kinja Hanai waiting on the side of the road. He looked a lot more haggard after not seeing him for a while. I still didn't understand why I came here. My out-home, this is not a fun place. The rumors on the internet are not groundless. You'd better not go in. I only saw the old and frail house. Something was urging me to go forward. Some puzzles that I have never solved seem to be answered in front of me. When we went in, we saw the special police and the old man in Taoist robes. The special police even had weapons similar to guns in their hands, and the old man in Taoist robes looked solemn. When they saw us coming in, they wanted us to go out at the first time, until I met the old man in Taoist robes. He seemed to sigh for a while. It turns out that we are destined to be together. I didn't understand what he said, but a few of us could stay, and the people who looked like special police around the old man in Taoist robes didn't drive us away anymore. I don't know what department they are from. They look organized and serious. I walked in this crumbling house, and every time I stepped on a step up, I seemed to feel the weight of history. As early as high school, I asked about my hometown and went there. My former residence was reduced to ruins in the war and rebuilt after the war. This is not any place I remember, but now in the dusty room on the second floor, the gray gourd pendant hanging on the head of the bed reminds me of someone. I have never been here before, but I have been here before. As I approached, I heard someone whispering below, as if they wanted to stop me from entering that room. I vaguely heard the words, the most yin energy. It was still daytime, but it was dark here. There was a wooden table in the corner, which had been in disrepair for a long time and looked very dilapidated. As I looked at this scene, I seemed to be able to imagine the scene of a young man in Western-style trousers and shirt pulling his head at the case many years ago. The air was filled with a musty smell. I slowly approached the bed and reached out to the gourd pendant on the bedside. At that moment, a breeze suddenly surged in the air and I touched the pendant. It was just a very inconspicuous peachwood pendant. The red rope that strung it together had completely faded over the years, and the rope was so fragile that it could not be pulled. It broke with just a slight touch. The original guest seemed to be revealed. My hand trembled slightly, holding the gourd pendant, looking down, and using the flashlight on my mobile phone. I saw a very vague mark on the bottom. It was so blurry that I could hardly see it clearly. But I still recognized it. There were 3 words on it, Qin Yujuan. We gave each other gifts when we separated that year. This was the one I gave away. Tears fell without knowing when, blurring my vision, and my silent heart became hot. I heard a sound beside my ear like footsteps and breathing. I pulled the gourd pendant in my hand and slowly turned around to look. In this dim room, I saw another tall shadow, and the door seemed to be closed by the wind at that moment. My breathing stopped for a moment. I stared at the figure motionlessly. Azu, is that you? I wanted to see the face clearly, so I took a step forward, but the figure took a step back. Azu. I paused. Let me see, okay? He stopped, and I walked forward. In the dim light, I saw the scar on his neck, a cutthroat wound. My tears fell again. The face that was so far away that I could hardly remember it appeared in front of me again. It was my Azu. I wanted to reach out and touch him, but when I reached out, I only touched a wisp of air. Sadness came, and the belated grief made me cry out loud. How long has he been trapped here? Miao Tong, don't cry. After a while I heard a voice from another world. My vision was blurred by tears again, but I wanted to see him clearly. So I reached out and wiped my tears, and then raised my eyes and saw his hand that was stretched out and then retracted. Just as I couldn't touch him, he couldn't touch me. I raised my eyes and finally saw the face clearly. He looked no different from what I remembered, with delicate eyebrows and eyes, and he still looked elegant, but my sadness was beyond words. Azu, can you tell me about your story? I wanted to know his experiences and why he was trapped here, and even more why I woke up in this era. Azu's eyes revealed a hint of sadness. Miao Tong, I don't remember. He was bound in this house for many years until Ken's construction started recently. Azu said that he only remembered that he had to wait for someone. And when he saw me, he remembered that the person he was waiting for was me. He wanted to see me again. I stared at Azu closely, afraid that he would disappear from my sight in the blink of an eye. I never thought that I would see my old friend again in this life. I never assumed that Azu was still alive, but I thought many times that after I died, he would meet a good person after the war, and his descendants would live on this land like me now. But he died in that era like me. He stayed here alone for many years. Miao Tong, I'm leaving, Azu suddenly said. I looked at him, and tears fell again. Miao Tong, you have to be happy. I saw his figure gradually become blurred. I reached out, but I couldn't hold anything in my palm. He slipped from my palm like quicksand. This room is dark and dark, but my AXU is gone. There's only a gourd pendant in my palm that has become vicissitudes of life. It seems that what I just saw was just an illusion. The old man in Dao strobes told me that AXU was too obsessed when he was alive. He made a last wish before he died. He carried merits with him. His obsession brought me here, and it was also his obsession that made him stick to it for many years. He wanted to see me again. This is why strange things happened frequently in this area when the construction started. AXU may cause greater harm to others. This is why the construction here was stopped and taken over by the government. If I hadn't appeared, the construction here would have been stopped. The old man in Taoist robes said that there was golden light on AXU's body. According to regulations, they cannot take action against souls with great merits. He smiled and told me that there was also golden light on my body, which was the gathering of past and present lives. I don't care about these. When a person dies, he will enter reincarnation. Wandering in the world is like being trapped in his own cocoon. His obsession has been dispelled, and he will usher in a new life. I don't know what he means by new life, but I sincerely pray that Azu will have a safe and smooth afterlife. The ban on this land has been lifted, and construction can continue. The urgent need of the Kin family has been solved. Although kinda Hunha, I didn't understand why he came with me that day. He watched me go upstairs, and then watched me go downstairs in a daze. He seemed to want to ask something, but he knew that he couldn't get an answer from me. I only took a gourd pendant from that room that day. Azu used to live in this house, but after so many years, I don't know how many owners have changed. Now, the only thing that belongs to him is the pendant I gave him. It was clear a long time ago that our fate had been broken, but when he appeared and disappeared in front of me, I would still feel lost. The gourd pendant in my hand seemed to remind me that the connection between me and that war Ornera had been broken. Ken Yujuan now is just Ken Yujuan. When I was 18, I graduated with a doctorate and officially joined a research institute. I don't have much social life and I spend all day in the laboratory. The Kin family contacted me at first, saying that there are no parents who are not right in the world. But after all, I am not the daughter they want, and they are not the parents I want. I don't have high requirements for material life. My work can satisfy my pursuit of life. It's just that the leaders often make a fuss and ask me to remember to let the police follow me when I go out. The Kin family must have understood later that as long as I don't want to see them, they can't appear in front of me. They don't know where I am now. The so-called fate of marriage is impossible to fall on me. Kin and slowly stepped down, and Kanja Hunha, I took over Kin's company. However, even if Kanja Hunha I was a business genius, it would be difficult for him to resist the times. As for Kim Han, she gave birth to a child, but I heard that for several years after I lived alone. I learned it from others that the times were changing with each passing day, and Kin's competitors emerged one after another. Kin was declining at a relatively slow pace. Fan was not a good man. Some men were like fermented wine. Some things about the Kin family. Like it looks good, but you can tell it's already bad when you smell it. They had a vigorous conversation, but they also wasted years and months. But this is just my opinion. Qin Xiao Han and I have different goals after all. The life she leads now is no different from what she described to me when she was a teenager standing at the bottom of the steps. Her material life is still the endpoint that many people cannot reach. Later, one of my research results was announced, and Kinnan took that opportunity to disclose my identity. During that period of time, they contacted me closely and hoped that I would go back to attend Tian's birthday party. It seems that Qin Xiao Han has become the abandoned child in this farce. Kinnan weighed the pros and cons, or perhaps realized in the previous crisis of the Qin family that he wanted to expand his network in the political circle, and a daughter who was engaged in scientific research was a good stepping stone. I received a belated message from Qin Xiao Han with resentment. When, unfortunately, what Kinnan didn't know was that my research results that could not be made public destined me to be someone he could not influence as his biological father. I directly blocked him and looked at him as an eyesore. Kenji Hana, I wanted to say something later, but he didn't say what I liked to hear. I was obsessed with work until my leaders and colleagues also worried about my personal life. I could only tell them that I only had scientific research in my heart and had planned to devote my life to scientific research. Over the years, many excellent men have appeared around me. They are very good, but it is difficult for me to have a heart-moving moment in my life. The old man and Taoist robes once told me that my present life is my next life. Therefore, I can integrate the memory of Qin Yuxuan and feel what she feels, but the memory of the previous life is also integrated. It took me a long time to regain a sense of belonging to this era. In my spare time, I occasionally buy some flowers to keep at home. I want to keep pets, but I am too busy and worried that I can't keep them alive. Later, I also recruited students myself. Looking at their faces that have not been beaten, I really miss my past self. I am not serious, but I am a rigorous person. My lovely students have suffered a lot under my hands. But they are all excellent young people. I stood on the podium and began to talk about theoretical knowledge. Behind me and above my head, we are all telling the story of this generation. Extra Yun's perspective. I met my Atom when I was young. Her father taught me to write. We grew up together, watching the country suffer and the people suffer. Her father donated a lot of property, but it was still not enough. My parents later went north to do business and provide food for the army. 5-star red flag. My Atom has been a woman with her own opinions since she was young. She was born beautiful, but she was unwilling but powerless. But she was not just beautiful in appearance. She said she wanted to study abroad to see what other countries were like. There were dangers everywhere, and my parents decided to send both me and her out. When we first fell in love, we also learned to kiss secretly on summer nights like others. She was like a ray of light in my life. I couldn't help but get close to her and fall in love with her. She was so beautiful. We returned to China after going through many difficulties. We promised to be together for life. It was just that the war was everywhere. Although we were in the same camp, we had to accept a short separation. I was exposed in an operation to cover the retreat of the masses. Death was so close to me. Before losing consciousness, I prayed that my Mayadong could see a country without war in the future. A beautiful person like her will have other admirers. She will be a better person. If I had any regrets, It is probably that I haven't seen her for a long time. I really hope to see her again,